Today, we're going to talk about something many of us have felt, yet perhaps never stopped to truly understand. Have you ever felt inexplicably tired, completely drained for no clear reason? That deep fatigue that goes beyond the physical, hitting you in the middle of the day and making you wonder if something is wrong with your body? Well, it might be more than you think. The Lord, in His infinite wisdom, often speaks through subtle signs, and one of those signs can be fatigue. Yes, that strange and profound tiredness with no rational explanation could be your body trying to process something spiritually deep or delivering a message you need to hear today. Let's explore how the Lord warns us through these mysterious waves of exhaustion and why we should never ignore them. These signs may be a call for spiritual growth, healing, or even changes that need to take place within us. Often, we dismiss tiredness as nothing more than the result of daily stress or routine. But could there be something more behind it? I invite you to reflect with me as we uncover the meaning of these signs, learn how to interpret them, and understand how to respond to what the universe and the Lord may be showing us. Are you ready to receive this message? Then keep watching and let me know in the comments. Have you ever felt this kind of unexplained fatigue? How have you dealt with it? Let's talk about your experience, and remember, if this message can help someone, share it with them and subscribe for more content like this. Sometimes exhaustion isn't just physical. Have you considered that tiredness can also be tied to your soul, your spirit? The Lord uses our bodies as a bridge to send warnings, and this fatigue may be exactly that, a signal that something is happening on a deeper level. Physical tiredness is the one we all know, after a long day at work, intense activity, or constant stress. But spiritual tiredness, my friend, is different. It has no logical explanation, yet it's just as real as physical fatigue. It's that heavy feeling when your energy is gone, as if the weight of the world is on your shoulders, even though nothing happened to justify it. Fatigue goes beyond any physical effort. It comes from within. It arises when our emotions, our energy, and even our thoughts are being overloaded. Have you ever heard of energetic fatigue? This occurs when the energy around us, whether from people, situations, or even environments, ends up draining us. This is real. Our physical body is directly connected to our energy field, and everything that happens to our energy reflects on our physical health. So, when fatigue appears without a clear reason, it is a sign that something is out of balance. It could be that you are carrying heavy energies, old hurts, or fears that have not been released. The Lord may be warning you to pause and observe what needs to be healed within you. Have you noticed that in moments of deep fatigue, even our emotions can feel more intense? Anxiety increases, worries seem to grow beyond what is normal, and even small things begin to feel like bigger challenges than they truly are. This happens because the body and the soul are asking for a pause, a relief, a chance to renew themselves. Spiritual fatigue is an invitation to look inward, reflect on what is affecting you, and find the balance necessary to move forward with more strength and clarity. Now you might be wondering, why is this fatigue happening to me? What is the purpose behind it? The answer lies in spiritual purification. Often, the fatigue we feel is a sign that we are undergoing an internal cleansing process, a process the Lord uses to help us release energies and patterns that no longer serve us. The truth is, we all carry emotional baggage, traumas, fears, and limiting beliefs throughout life. These burdens can be very heavy, not just emotionally, but physically as well. The process of spiritual purification is precisely our chance to release all this weight that hinders our growth. And often, this process is not easy. It challenges us, makes us feel uncomfortable, and fatigue is one of the most evident signs of this transformation. When you begin to release these dense energies, your body and mind need time to adjust to the new frequency you are reaching. The fatigue you feel in many cases is a reflection of this healing process. As you release emotions from the past, you move closer to your true essence. But like any purification, this path is not without difficulties. You may feel the weight of the emotions being released. When intense energies are released, feeling fatigued is normal. This exhaustion is only part of the process. It is not a sign of weakness, but a signal that you are being shaped into a higher version of yourself. This purification process can manifest differently for each person. For some, it may involve releasing old traumas. For others, it could mean letting go of certain relationships or situations that no longer serve their journey. Fatigue in this sense is like a tide that comes and goes, sometimes stronger during periods of great change, and at other times diminishing, allowing space for renewal. Whenever you feel exhausted, remember, this is a sign that something greater is happening within you. The Lord is guiding you, and this temporary exhaustion will lead you to become stronger, lighter, and more aligned with your mission. Now that we understand that spiritual fatigue often signals purification, it's important to learn how to interpret it correctly, what the Lord is trying to show us when we feel this way, and how to distinguish between ordinary physical tiredness and fatigue with a spiritual message behind it. First, pay attention to when this fatigue appears. Often it comes during transitions, moments of transformation or important decision-making, because the body and spirit are adapting to a new reality, a new path. If you are experiencing changes in your life, whether in your career, relationships, or even in your spiritual awakening, fatigue can be the universe signaling that it's time to pause and reflect. Another key point is to observe how frequently this fatigue occurs. If you are constantly exhausted without a clear physical reason, it may indicate that something emotional or spiritual requires attention. It can be your spirit asking for rest, requesting that you stop and focus on what is happening within you. Ignoring these signs can lead the body to send stronger messages, which may manifest as physical issues such as chronic pain or illness. Another important factor to consider is how you feel after resting. If you rest, but still feel drained, even after a good night's sleep or some downtime, this may indicate that the fatigue has deeper roots. Through these signals, the Lord invites us to go beyond the surface. Physical fatigue can be resolved with rest, but spiritual fatigue calls for reflection, awareness, and alignment with your inner path. Rest can relieve physical fatigue, but spiritual fatigue often requires inner reflection. It's important to ask yourself, what am I carrying inside that is draining me? What patterns or emotions do I need to release? When you notice this fatigue, do not ignore it. The Lord may be asking you to take time to reflect and seek healing. Pay attention to your inner self and observe what your spirit is trying to communicate. Over time, you will learn to distinguish when fatigue is simply the result of an exhausting routine and when it is a true sign that something deeper needs to be healed or released. Now that we understand what spiritual fatigue is and how to interpret it, it's time to discuss how to deal with it effectively. Often, when we feel spiritually exhausted, our instinct is to push through and keep going, ignoring what is happening inside us. But as we have discussed, this fatigue should not be ignored. It is a signal that something requires our attention, and the Lord offers these messages to help us care for our soul. The first step when feeling spiritually drained is to accept the pause. Sometimes what we most need is not to keep moving, but to allow our body and spirit a moment of deep rest. Give yourself permission to stop and listen to what your heart is trying to say. Accepting this rest is not a sign of weakness, but of wisdom. The Lord knows that in order to evolve, we need to reconnect with our essence. It's okay to slow down when fatigue takes over. Rest is a fundamental part of the healing process. An important practice for coping with spiritual fatigue is meditation. Meditation not only calms the mind, but also helps release tensions stored in the body and soul. When you sit in silence, without rushing, and connect with your breath, you allow your energy to realign. This brings mental clarity, alignment, and most importantly, the sense of peace that both body and spirit need. Another helpful practice is energetic self-care. If you feel that your fatigue comes from energetic overload, try activities such as salt baths, the use of crystals, or even yoga to release accumulated tensions. These practices help cleanse your energy field, allowing you to feel renewed. Spiritual fatigue can be a reflection of heavy energies that no longer belong to you, and by purifying your energy field, you can find a new balance. Listen to your body. Each time you feel this fatigue, ask yourself what your body needs. Sometimes it requires movement, like walking outdoors, eating lighter and more nutritious food, or simply having a restful night's sleep. Other times, it may ask for silence and introspection. Spiritual fatigue is also connected to our ability to care for ourselves. Sometimes this means pausing to re-energize in a healthy way. It's important to remember that spiritual fatigue can also be an opportunity to re-evaluate your journey. It may be the right moment to look at your life and see if you are on the right path. Are your current actions serving you? Are there choices you've made that are no longer aligned with your mission or life purpose? Sometimes, fatigue is an invitation to reorient your steps and make necessary adjustments so you can live with more purpose and lightness. Now that we've discussed how to cope with spiritual fatigue, let's talk about something even more important: your connection with the divine. During these moments, when we feel exhausted, we often distance ourselves from spiritual practices, thinking we lack the energy or motivation to pray, meditate, or seek God's presence. However, it is precisely in these moments of fatigue that our connection with the divine can become deeper and more meaningful. When we feel drained, our spirit is in a way more open and vulnerable. This creates an opportunity to draw closer to the Lord, asking for guidance, relief, and strength. Fatigue can be a sign that we are straying from our true essence, and in these moments, we need the divine presence to restore us. Invoking the Lord's name is a way of acknowledging that no matter how heavy our exhaustion feels, He is greater and can renew our energy in surprising ways. A simple yet powerful practice is silent prayer. When fatigue seems overwhelming, pause for a moment. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and surrender everything that is weighing you down into God's hands. The prayer doesn't need to be long or complex. Sometimes a simple, sincere request is enough. Lord, I am tired. Renew my strength and show me what I should do. This act of surrender to the divine can bring immediate relief, as if a restorative energy begins to flow through you. Additionally, use moments of fatigue to reflect on God's presence in your life. Ask yourself, where is God guiding me right now? What is He trying to teach me? Through this fatigue, the Lord sometimes allows us to go through difficult periods so that we can learn to trust more fully in His providence and wisdom. Fatigue is not a punishment, but an opportunity to develop our faith and recognize how much we depend on Him, especially during the most challenging moments. Remember that even when we feel weak, it is precisely then that the Lord becomes most present in our lives. When spiritual fatigue is properly understood, it leads us to a place of total surrender and trust, where we can rely on God's infinite strength. By seeking this connection, we receive not only physical and mental relief, but also a deep spiritual renewal that prepares us to continue our journey with greater clarity and purpose. Now we reach the deepest point of reflection on spiritual fatigue. What many may not realize is that when spiritual fatigue is properly understood, it leads us to a place of total surrender and trust, where we can rely on God's infinite strength. By seeking this connection, we receive not only physical and mental relief, but also a deep spiritual renewal that prepares us to continue our journey with greater clarity and purpose. Now we reach the deepest point of reflection on spiritual fatigue. What many may not realize is that behind fatigue lies a clear sign of spiritual growth. Although fatigue may seem negative, it can also be a direct reflection of our evolution. As we seek greater alignment with our true essence and divine mission, we are challenged to face what lies within us, the barriers that prevent us from becoming who we were truly called to be. Spiritual fatigue often arises when we approach a new level of consciousness. This can happen as we begin to release old beliefs and behavioral patterns that limit us. During this process of letting go, you may feel as if you are carrying a tremendous weight. In reality, what you are doing is detaching from what no longer serves you. This is a process of healing, growth, and evolution. As you free yourself from past energies and negative patterns, your energetic frequency rises, which can cause temporary fatigue while your body and mind adjust to this new vibration. Furthermore, fatigue reflects the expansion of the soul. Each time you experience something that challenges your worldview or understanding of yourself, you are expanding your consciousness. This expansion can be intense, sometimes uncomfortable, and fatigue is one of the ways the body recalibrates to this new reality. However, if you allow yourself to rest and reflect on what is happening, you will notice that fatigue becomes a sign that you are on the right path. You are becoming more aligned with your mission, more connected with your true self, and better prepared for the journey ahead.